I know I told you guys I was doing a buy low show this afternoon, but screw that. I came up with a different idea on the fly, and we're doing this one instead. It's Taking the Leap, the show where I pick, I think it was like 5 to 8 of them. I forget the exact number now. 5 to 8 guys that I think have actually taken a legitimate leap. Because right now, first of all, it's not that easy to sell high on someone. We all screw these up all the time anyway. It's also quite hard to buy low because you never really know how to price match this early in the year because so much of a player's value is tied up into what someone spent on that player on draft night and not the actual production that you're seeing out there. And all of what we try to do is gauge the public perception of a particular player. And the best I can do with that is like YouTube comments, Twitter reactions, things of that nature. So instead, on today's show, we're going to be talking about guys that not only have overperformed, but appear to be on their way to overperforming consistently. Meaning, you might think they're a sell high, but I'm here to tell you that these guys are just now way better. And we'll try to get into how much better that means, such as the nuance we can provide on a podcast that you can't really do on social media. However, I will say, follow me on social media. I'm at Dan Besbris. I am Dan Besbris, DanBesbris. I am the host of Old Man Squad Fantasy Basketball. That's this show. Please hit the like button if you're watching. Subscribe if you're new to this adventure, this grand adventure that we're on. And if you have a moment on Apple or Spotify to leave that 5-star review, that would be super. That would just be super. And yeah, let's get into it. Take the leap. That's the name of the show. I'll come up with a better name when I actually post it places, but I'm got an exclamation point for you guys right now. Take the leap. What players look like they've made a huge, sustainable leap forward? Which players? I guess I probably should have written. They're not sell high because it can continue. Good Lord. Who wrote this? Me? Did I write this? Do better, Dan. First name on the list. Let's do a first name before we do an ad read. Come on, we want to get into the fun stuff. Evan Mobley. Evan Mobley. Pre-rank of 38, current rank on Yahoo of 9. Also, by the way, the same on Basketball Monster. On averages of 18 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, 1.5 steals, 2.5 blocks, a 3-pointer, 51% from the field on about 13 shots, 88% at the free throw line, which, look, let's be honest, that's probably not a thing that's going to hold all season long. But let's get into why I like Mobley right now. The big thing, and we talked a little bit about this during the run-up to the season, was could Mobley put the health of 2 years ago with the efficiency spike of last year? And some of that's a yes right now, and some of that's a no. The Cavaliers have had a couple of blowouts, so minutes have been somewhat depressed. He's at 31.8, but health-wise, he's looked terrific. The free throw number at 88, not going to stick. He was 72 last year. I think the best we can hope for is that it comes up to like 74. So that's coming down. The things I like with Mobley is that, first of all, in blowouts, you're going to get outsized production. So you can treat his 31 minutes and 45 seconds a game right now. If that was a competitive game, it translates to more like 35 or so. And I mean, you can look at the game log for Evan if you have any questions as to what they want to do, because they've had to play a tighter game yesterday, more or less for the first time. They beat Toronto by 30. They beat Detroit by double digits. They beat Washington by 20, 19, if you want to be a dick about it. And then finally, yesterday, Monday, so you might be watching this show later, they had to fight. They were scrapping and fighting with the Knicks. And Evan Mobley played 36 minutes. So the key here is they want him around 36. That's the number in a tight, hard-fought basketball. I mean, obviously they want him lower than that, but in these big moments, that's a thing. He has made a 3-pointer in 3 out of his 4 games so far. I mean, the percentage is pretty high right now. He's, 4 out of 10? No, 4 out of 8? Is that possible? Yeah, he's 4 out of 8. He's not going to shoot 50% from downtown. But what you're going to see from Mobley is translating last year to this year. He was at 9.4 rebounds in 30 and change minutes last season. The 9 that he's on right now probably goes up. The assists, going to be around 3. The steals, do they come back down towards 1? Possibly, yeah. The blocks, could they stay high? They actually could. Because, if he's going to play 35, 36 minutes, 34 minutes a game, he was able to put up more than 1.5. So I still think you're looking at a guy that could push up towards, I don't know, somewhere in the 2.6, 2.7 combined steals and blocks. I'm not here to tell you that Evan Mobley is going to be a first rounder. I don't think he's going to stay at number 9 because, again, the free throw number is unsustainably high. You could argue that the field goal is going to come up, and so those will sort of wash each other out. The steals and blocks are not going to stay at 4 combined. He's not now Anthony Davis, but he's not that far behind. I think we're talking about a guy that with the extra 2 or 3 minutes over last year, if the efficiency stays the same, he goes from being a late 30s guy to possibly a late second, early third rounder. So yes, there's a little bit of a sell high there, but honestly, you're so early in the season. What are you going to get for him? You're going to trade him a guy you drafted maybe at the end of the 3rd, beginning of the 4th round. You're going to trade him for someone that was drafted 10 slots sooner? Why? I think he's going to be that guy. If you could get a 2nd rounder for him, you'd do it. But I don't think you can because we're only a week and a day, or 1 week actually, 1 week into the NBA season. So no one's going to believe that he's a first rounder. So just enjoy it. Enjoy the high. This show is brought to you by our friends at Bet Online. Almost forgot to squeeze that in there. Basketball fans, it's that time of the year again. The NBA is back. From opening tip-off to buzzer beaters, Bet Online has you covered with the best odds, biggest promotions, and live in-game betting on all of your favorite teams this season. Every game matters, and that is why Bet Online has every stat, matchup breakdowns, and live odds to bet on right in the middle of the ball games. It's pretty cool, actually, if you see a run developing, to bet on it as it's happening. It's not just the NBA. Bet Online has odds on everything. Football, World Series, hockey, political props. Head there today. Get in on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. Bet Online, the game starts here. Let's get to player number 2. Take a leap, Jalen Suggs. Jalen frickin' Suggs. He looks good so far. Pre-rank of 95, current rank of 20. Okay, I will give you that probably doesn't hold. He's 20 on Yahoo. He's 24th on Basketball Monster. Either way, that's a late 2nd round valuation. Here's the magical part of what Suggs is doing right now. Jalen Suggs is not that far off from sustainable numbers in a lot of different things. So will there be small little blips here and there? Yes. But overall, the big thing we're looking at right now is how did the minutes look? And so far they're low. He had foul trouble in 1 game, and then he just had 1 off night. And then he had 2 big ones to sort of counterbalance those. So the minutes are going to be fine. You saw it in, again, you can go to the game log. Orlando played a hardball game against Indiana. He played 35 minutes. Hardball game against Memphis. He played 31 minutes. Pretty sizable blowouts. One of them foul trouble related. He played 12. That was obnoxious. And then 22 against Brooklyn. That was just one where he wasn't playing as well. So they went to a different look. But in hard-fought games, ones where they're looking to make a run and provided Suggs is not playing horribly, you're talking 30 to 35 minutes a night. Why is that number important? Well, the simple answer to that question is that Suggs last year was sitting right around the edge of the top 100 in 27 minutes per game. Last year, he was at 12.5 points, 1.4 steals, 3 boards, just under 3 assists, and 2.4 3-pointers, or sorry, 2 3-pointers, I should say, in 5 tries in 27 minutes a game. Moving 27 to 32 or 33 is effectively a quarter. I mean, we're talking about a quarter jump in what he's getting to do. A quarter of 27. What's 27 divided by 4? Just under 7 minutes a game. 6.75. We're adding a little less than a quarter. Call it I mean, what is 6? How many times 6 going to 27? Doesn't matter. It's 2/9, 22.22222. I don't need a calculator. I'm a nerd. And then just do that to all of his stuff. So add little under a quarter. What's a quarter of his scoring last year? Is it 12.5 points? A quarter of that would be a little over 3, so call it 3. 12.5 becomes 15.5 points. 1.4 steals. What's a quarter of that? 0.35, basically. That goes up to 1.8, which, spoiler alert, that's what he's on right now. 0.6 blocks. A quarter of that is 0.15. So does he have 0.7, 0.8 blocks a season this year? Are we talking about a guy that's going to be at 2.5 combined defensive stats? Are we talking about adding a rebound, adding an assist? That, by the way, is with the activity line linear. But for a young player getting better, that activity line actually slopes up ever so slightly. Likely to do more in this time on the court, specifically on the offensive side, because as he gets better, he will get to do more. The NBA just keeps speeding up. And frankly, less Cole Anthony and no Markelle Fultz has turned out to be good for some of these other guys. So right now, Suggs is at 11 shots a game in 25 minutes a night. I don't think that's the number. I don't think that's the rate we should be looking at, but he did take 17 shots in each of his last 2 games. By the way, of those 34 shots, 26 of them were from three-point land, which long-term, not great for the field goal percent. But he's out there and he's taking shots. Do we think he can get to a dozen? Do we think that he can get to 12 shots a game in 32, 33 minutes a night? I'd say that's very attainable for him. His rookie year, I mean, he was banged up a lot his first 2 seasons in the NBA. He took 11.5 shots a game his rookie season. He's at 16.8 points per game right now. That's actually kind of a sustainable number for him now that he's more of a feature guy. 3.5 threes, okay, maybe that doesn't stick at 45%. Perhaps that number comes down. 93% foul shooting. He got off to actually kind of a hot start at the free throw line last year before that also tapered off. That's coming down. So that's why we know he's not going to be a second rounder. But has he taken a leap forward? Absolutely. And what you'd be able to get for him right now, which is maybe like 75 range, I'd rather have Suggs. That's really what this show is about. These are the guys that you could sell high on, but I'd rather just keep the dude. Austin Reeves is the next name on the board, and he looks every bit of it. Like, if you've watched even 5 seconds of one of these Laker games, you've seen it. Pre-rank of 100, current rank of 22. And this one is like the numbers are there. He's at 19.7 boards, 5 assists, 1.5 steals, 3 threes on 56% shooting, but only 70 at the free throw line, which, I mean, that'll come up over time as the field goal will also come down. But like, what we're seeing from Reeves so far this year is a different role with the basketball team. Last year, in 32 minutes a game, he was taking 11.5 shots a night. He's at 36 minutes a game so far this year. The Lakers just want him out there all the time. And he's a 50% career shooter. So, like, yeah, 55 is high, but it's not that high. It's only going to come down like 5-ish%, maybe less. Maybe he got better again. I don't know. And the free throw is going to go up. He's an 85% career foul shooter at 70. So one of those is going to balance out with the other. Are the rebounds going to stay at 7? Probably not. He's a career 3.6 in 29 minutes a game. Even if you extrapolate that to 33, 34, 35 minutes, you're still talking about 5 rebounds a game instead of 7. The assists are very sustainable. The steals probably come down closer to about 1. So, no, Reeves is probably not going to stay a second rounder. But again, this is the whole, like, what could you get back for a guy you drafted at between 80 and 100 who's overperforming? Could you get someone near like 65? Maybe. But I'd rather have Austin Reeves. I legitimately think he's got a shot to be a top 50 to 60 range fantasy player this year because he is very much the number 2 ball handler behind LeBron James. And you saw it last night. If you watched that game, LeBron was awful. against the Suns yesterday. And so the Lakers were like, whatever, Austin, take us home. So the ball was just in Reeves' hand for most of the end of that game. Suns were sort of daring him to beat him, and he damn near did. That's why the assists were lower and the scoring was in the 20s. Again, I don't think the rebound's going to hold like this, although I do believe that J.J. Redick is asking his guys, his guards in particular, to make a more concerted effort at that part of the floor because Lakers got destroyed in rebounds last season. And I think you're just talking about a guy that has, even if he hasn't gotten significantly better, and I think he has, I think he's improved his game in a few ways. I think the way the Lakers are going to use him is better. So would I sell high? No. I'd rather have Austin. Ivica Zubac, he was a guy that, I mean, I know I'm sorry about this. I know I'm partially responsible for ruining his draft day ADP because he was going at like 110 when, actually, I have that number. Why don't I look it up? What was the first Ivica Zubac pre-rank? 112. And then it was 106, and then it was 99, and then they bounced it to 75 right before all my drafts happened, which was a pisser. So I only have him in like one or two spots instead of everywhere. But we talked about this all preseason long. And with Kawhi out, it's sort of like a double bonus for him. Every play that James Harden is orchestrating is a good one for Ivica Zubac because he's probably going to get called over to set a big old screen because Harden doesn't have speed anymore. He needs a column of a man to knock out the defender. And that is where Zoo comes in. And so you're seeing just this crazy offensive numbers out of Zubac. He's at 23 points and 14 rebounds with 4 assists so far this year. And okay, I get it. There are things that are and are not sustainable here. For one, his free throw number is lower than we expected. He's at 67%. We were hoping for low 70s, and so that'll help. The turnovers are at 3.3. That's a number I think comes down. That will also help his value. I think we're going to see more than 0.7 blocks if he's playing 37 minutes a ball game. But he's also probably not going to average 23 and 14. The nice thing about Zubac, if you're looking for stuff that you feel like could actually maybe hold over more than just a very short term, he's never seen minutes like this in his career. So we've never seen him with an opportunity to lead the league in rebounding because the most minutes he's ever played came in 2022 when he was about 28 and a half, and he averaged 10 rebounds a game in that one. So if you jack that up from 29 to say, look, I don't think he's playing 37 a night, but take out what they didn't they have an overtime game in there? Bring him down to 34. You're adding 5 minutes. That's, again, just a little under 20%. So you're talking about possibly another 2 rebounds for Zoo. 11 to 12 range is reachable for him. And then the other thing we talked about was just not only was he going to get to play more. So last year he took 7.5 shots in 26 minutes. If you add another like 25% to that, great. What do you get him over 9 shots a game? But with Harden, he's getting all of these opportunities rolling to the rim. So it was more minutes and more opportunity. It was a double whammy. Yes, I feel like we did kind of price him out a little bit with that 75 rank at the end. I don't know that he's going to stay top 50 long term. But again, what are you going to get for him? Can you get a top 50 guy back? Probably not. I would rather just roll with Zubac and see if he can land somewhere between 50 and 75 and enjoy it. And then you also, honestly, you feel smarter when you get to keep the guy that you hit on. Just a couple more names on the board here. Dyson Daniels. And this one was just all about minutes per game. There isn't really a breakout happening. And frankly, I don't know that his role is all that different in Atlanta than it would have been in New Orleans had they turned him loose. And he's at 2.8 steals a game right now, which, again, that's not a number that's going to stick. But he's also shooting, what is he, like 3 for 8 at the free throw line so far? That probably will get a little bit better. Daniels is just getting to play. And we saw it last year. If his percentages were not, I'm talking about there was like a 9-game, 10-game stretch when CJ McCollum was out at the beginning of last year, and Dyson Daniels was getting 30 minutes a game. And he posted numbers that on their face should have been top 90 or better. But he shot like 32% from the field and like 60 at the free throw line during that span. And so he was ranked outside the top 100. I don't need good numbers, field goal, free throw. I just need slightly sub-average. I'll be totally satisfied with slightly sub-average because he's going to score a little bit this year. He's going to hit some threes. He's going to get some rebounds and assists. And he's going to get a ton of steals. Not this many, but a lot. And so, again, what are you going to get? I think with Daniels, there's probably a little bit more of a reason to sell high. Because if you can find someone that's like, ooh, he's a number 56, like how far could he possibly fall? Well, he can still fall to like 90 or 100. So if you can get someone, I believe, higher than 85 that you know is going to stick there, which of course is the big floating red question mark. Are they higher than 85 for good? For good? So you're talking about someone that has like established, boring 85 or better range value. That's where I would probably think about the sell high on Daniels. But also, I got no problem if you just want to ride it out, understanding he will come down a little bit, but you're still going to get a pretty nice chunk of stuff. And finally, I wanted to throw Bilal Coulibaly on this list because we've been talking about him a bunch lately, and he's still like a big game or two away from being a true taking the leap kind of guy, because right now he's ranked 120. He's not inside the top 100. His pre-rank was in the 180s, so it's quite a large gap there. But because of some goofy little things, he's actually 116 on Yahoo. The 2.7 turnovers, or 116 on Basketball Monster, I should say. And then just like small sample size stuff, like John Conchar is ranked ahead of Coulibaly, but you'd obviously rather have Bilal. Conchar is up there because he's shooting 75% on 2 shots a game and 75% at the free throw line, where it's like, okay, yes, obviously making 3 out of 4 shots is good, but he's not doing anything. And there's a number of guys like that. Ty Jerome is ahead of Coulibaly right now. He'll obviously, that's not going to hold. And if you just extrapolate Bilal's numbers so far, which is 16 points, little under 5 rebounds, 3.3 assists, a steal, and 1.7 threes on good percentages, if you just held that all year, you're looking at a number that's not that far off of what Austin Reeves did before the Lakers cut him loose. Like last year, Reeves was at 16, 4, and 5.5 on 49, 85 splits. That's pretty freaking close to what Coulibaly is doing right now. And that put Reeves like in the 80 to 95 range. More assists. Austin had more assists. Coulibaly will probably beat him in steals when it all kind of rolls together. So I think you're looking at a guy that as the board settles, if he can continue to be aggressive enough on offense, and that's the big thing. Bilal's taking 10 shots a game so far for that Wizards club. One would assume that as the year goes, he will only develop in confidence. The hope, of course, is that he doesn't have a midseason sag where guys get tired. It happens. Second-year guys, it happens too. More so to rookies, but they all go through it. But I love the 10 shots a game. I love the fact that he's involved. I think the steals could be better than 1 a night. I think you'll see him get a block every once in a while, half a block a game, something like that. That's another way that he'll just pop up the board. Because at 0 right now, 0 blocks in 3 games, it happens. But at the moment, it makes a very large negative punch in his numbers. Like you could punt blocks. I think Coulibaly most likely will be around league average in that particular department. And if you're punting blocks right now, he jumps up to under 91. So if you think he's going to be around league average in blocks and everything else stays around the same, he's an 8th rounder. I kind of do, which is what we just talked about with Reeves. He was an 8th rounder last year. They're not the same player. They don't do things the same at all. I'm just talking about straight numerically. Bilal right now is not that far away from what Reeves was last year, but this is a big jump for him. Being involved in the offense is a big reason why. A couple of honorable mentions that I wanted to kick around at you guys. Rui Hachimura is putting up massive numbers. The reason these guys are honorable mentions is that I think I would still be more inclined to sell if someone gave me enough. And the reason on Rui is that we still don't know exactly what he's going to get to do when Jared Vanderbilt comes back. So like a game like yesterday, Hachimura was great on offense for the Lakers. Is there a chance that with a healthy Vanderbilt, he would have gotten pulled so that Vando could go try to guard Kevin Durant or something like that. Not that either one of those guys is going to stand much of a chance against a hot KD, but like Rui kept getting switched off and disaster was striking. I mean, they could do that again. Vando better at playing passing lanes than Hachimura. Rui a better rebounder. I think there will be times where Vanderbilt comes in and screws things up for him. So if you Rui's number 70, by the way, so far this year, if you can get someone inside the top 100, and I mean inside it, not like 105, we're talking about like 90, 95, I think I would do it. Honorable mention number 2 is Onyeka Okongwu, who just took a game off for injury management. I hope that slows as the year goes on, but he's been great. One gigantic game, one medium game, one kind of game, but the 26 minutes is the big thing for Okongwu. That's what we're watching for. We want to see the minutes stay higher than Clint Capella's. We want it because I think he was, well, in fact, we can look this up while we're talking about it. I'm pretty sure he was around 24. Was he at 25 minutes a game last season? All right, he's only up like half a minute. But overall, he's just winning that battle. He's more involved on offense so far this year. The other stuff is holding relatively steady. And so I obviously like Okongwu, and he's someone that we talked about a lot leading up to the season. But again, still, he's someone that I'd be like, well, like someone out there might be looking at it and going, oh, he's dominating Clint Capella. Yeah, but is he going to get 9 shots and 5 free throws in 26 minutes every time out there? Probably not. And is he going to shoot a 63-87 split? Probably not. The upside, of course, with Okongwu is that Capella eventually just like the wheels come off. But he's been annoyingly healthy the last couple of years, and they've got Larry Nance also waiting in the wings, so there are options there. And I think if you can get a top 75 guy back for Okongwu, you do it. If you can get a top 80 guy back, you do it. 85, teetering, and then I don't think I'd go much beyond that. And finally, Christian Braun is the last name I wanted to put on the list because he's clearly taken a leap forward, but I also don't think you can get anything for him right now. So would I sell high? Hell yeah, I'd sell high on Christian Braun. I don't think he's going to average 3 defensive stats and shoot 56-100 as his field goal free throw splits this year. Those are, friends, not sustainable. But everybody knows it. No one believes that he's going to be a late 3rd, early 4th rounder. And so what the hell are you going to get back? You're going to get back some other guy who was drafted at 140 or picked up off the waiver wire after the season started. And I don't really want those guys because right now, at least, Braun looks more fun than those guys. Who the hell else would you even pick out of that group? Schroeder was generally drafted, but he's also been picked up. Daniels drafted, but also, if not, he's been picked up. I'd rather just go with Braun. Unless you're talking about Bilal Coulibaly, it's a little bit of a 6-1, half dozen of the other kind of thing. Those guys likely come towards one another as the season goes, and you're probably talking about 2 dudes that end up ranked somewhere between 75 and 110 when the season's done, and potentially worse. I think I'd rather have Bilal, oddly, because I don't think Braun keeps up this almost 2 blocks a game pace, and for Coulibaly, he seems closer, at least in my eyes, to what he could be for the full deal. So those are your honorable mentions. And that brings us through our Dan got a bee in his bonnet and an idea struck him. And in the moment, I went from doing, I'm going to do a sell high show to, wait a minute, I've got the flip side of that. Who's been great, but don't sell high. Enjoy. These are guys that to me look like wins right now. And I know it's early and things can change. We might not get all of those right. But that's why I'm leaning towards keeping most of those dudes. And then there were a couple that if you can squeeze out a sell, you think about doing it. Thanks for watching, everybody. Please hit that like button. Please subscribe to whatever we're doing here. I want to keep growing. I want this thing to keep on chugging. I want us to go into next season with a ridiculous head of steam that we did not have because I had just launched this place before this last season. I'm at Dan Bespris over on social. Have an amazing Tuesday. And we'll be back with you tomorrow with a Tuesday recap, Wednesday look-ahead show in the morning, and a mailbag show. No, wait, that's not right. No, we'll do a recap show in the morning. We'll do a look-ahead show late morning, The mailbag show will air on Thursday. I got it. That'll be with my buddy Adam King. And there's a tweet floating around out there that I sent out early this morning from @DanVesperis, where if you want to get a question in, and if you got a good one, Adam and I are going to answer probably the 5 or 10 best big picture, thought-provoking questions for that mailbag show we'll be recording tomorrow. I'm Dan for Old Man Squad Fantasy Basketball. I'm out.